Well, if you're here for the third part of these talks on boundaries. We've been covering some important things so far. If you haven't heard those, go back. But I want to give you kind of an overview of creating boundaries. The reason we want boundaries in our life is so that we take care of ourselves. We're maybe nice people, loving, kind, but we give and we give and we give, and we don't know when to stop, and sometimes it irritates us, and we don't have time for what we were going to do, or can't seem to get our vacation in. It just seems like we're always responsible, always have to keep doing stuff. Boundaries protect us. If you have a boundary in place, that means who you are matters, and it's worth protecting. And so there's an important aspect of boundaries that first needs to be established. And I addressed this a little bit in the end of the last one, but you are important, or why do this? Is your life just as important as a church or organization or employer? How much they want you or need you? Are you only important to them, or are you also valuable to who you are? Do you matter? Does your time, your energy, your personal joy matter? I hope it does. But we can lose that if we don't have boundaries. We become sometimes as bad as a doormat to other people, or they just clean their feet on us. It feels like that. Sometimes literally. Bad marriages, spouses that just rule over you. That's not right. You were given free will. They don't have a right to take that away from you, but they do. People do. They take your free will away from you. And when we talk about what matters, what's important, then we're getting into the areas of why boundaries are essential. The Bible talks about boundaries. Again, it's another thing that God establishes to help us love ourselves. I talked about that before. The two greatest commandments, the second part of it is love others, but we forget about the rest of it, which it says, as you love yourself. You're not going to be able to love other people nearly as well if you stop loving yourself. What will come across will be less than what you could give if you thought well of yourself, if you thought you were lovable, thought you were worth it, you mattered. Of course, God thinks through that, and I have videos about that, how important you are, what matters, and you matter to God. You matter to me, or I wouldn't be doing this. And God said, do this. Tell them that they matter, that they're valuable, they're worthy, that they're lovable, that they deserve respect. We see people that are living in such disrespect. People just don't respect them. It's a terrible feeling, isn't it? But the starting place for boundaries is looking at yourself and saying, I do matter. My time matters. What my free will matters. What I want matters. What I'm thinking about, what I'm feeling, that matters. Yes, it matters. So we start there. What I suggest to people that they think about is hula hoops. Hula hoops is round circle hoops. And just imagine one around yourself, around your body. You're just standing there with a hula hoop around yourself. St. Paul talked about that he stays within his sphere of influence. and doesn't go outside of it. He knows what he can do and should do, and he stays within those limitations. It's in the Bible. It's round. So I'm using a hula hoop just to give that picture round. Something's around you. It's like a little fence, a little wall, and you're inside of it. Well, you're inside of it because you matter. You're worth taking care of. And the things that are inside of this round hula hoop are the things that you're responsible for, that you decide, that you choose to put in there. What's inside your hula hoop right now? Full of a million things sometimes. Should they all be there? That's what this is about. Sort it out. What is and should be inside that hula hoop? Maybe you're married. Your spouse, you think, is inside your hula hoop. If you remember or see the picture of marriage, two wedding rings, and they kind of just lightly overlap each other. Well, that's for a reason. You don't become one circle, you overlap each other because each of you has identity and each of you is responsible for yourself. We share responsibility for each other and with other things like children, for example, but we don't become one person. We still stay individuals. That's why it's so important for you to get, if you're married, you're not responsible for your spouse's feelings. What they're feeling is in them, and that's their responsibility. It's not your responsibility. You don't have to fix it or change it. It's not your job. Now you can come alongside them. Show empathy to what they're feeling. But what happens to them and how they choose to live their life and all of that still rests upon them. You don't want to control them or be controlled, right? That's what's got us in trouble. But we choose to put part of our spouse inside. So I'm married, so part of my wife is within my circle. I feel care, responsibility for her. I'm going to look out for her. I consider that my responsibility. I need to love her, make sure that things are well taken care of for her so she has a happy existence and happy life. I show love to her, make her feel loved. So there's a lot of things that I do, but she really is on her own. When she dies, she's the only one that goes. I don't go with her. She goes to the throne room and stands before God. Something we all face. We go alone. God's not going to ask you about me. He's going to ask you about you. Did you follow me? And that's a whole nother thing. But the point is, just part of them is in your hoop, okay? If you have children, well, your children would be inside your hoop because they need you. You are responsible for them. You protect them. You hear the whole expression of a mom being a mother bear. She's going to protect them at all costs. And you'll hear these tragic stories of dads jumping in after their child and both of them drowning. I mean, there's a huge responsibility we feel, right? That's inside of our circle. But as the talks on raising children on my website, healingyourhearts.org, tell you is that every year that goes by, you're releasing them because they have to own themselves. You have to stop parenting. And so as child reaches teens and later teens, they're pretty much outside of your circle. You still carry a certain kind of responsibility to house and protect and so forth. Maybe to continue teaching a little or coaching or listening to them, but the responsibility is more and more given over to them. And your authority over them decreases. Okay? So you're getting this. What are you going to put inside your circle? What are you responsible for? What should be there? Your job, right? You're responsible to show up on time, get to your job wherever you work, to your employer. There's a responsibility. That's inside your circle. But you still own yourself. You're the main person in the circle. Your boss might ask something unreasonable of you, and you just say, I can't do that. You can fire me if you want, but I cannot do that. And these days, where it's hard to find people, likely not going to fire you. I got fired twice, but there were a lot of people around to take my place. I don't advise that. What else? Your friends. Maybe you have a good friend. Are you responsible for them? No, but you want to be a good friend, right? So they're partially in your circle in the sense of, if I want to keep friends, I got to be a good friend. I have to be there. I want to show up. I want to be around. Be there for them in their time of crisis and need. Just be a friend, someone to be with, to laugh with. So we put them, part of them, in our circle because we want to keep that up, right? Church, family, community. Parts of that is in there. We decide that we're going to put certain things in there. I want a certain amount of my time to go to this. Your car, if you own a car, no one's going to take care of your car. You have a home, a house, even a rental. Got to take care of it, got to clean it. Your responsibility. So that's in your circle, right? You might share that with someone else. So maybe only part of it's there. What parts? What'd you decide? What'd you agree on? Okay. You got animal, pet, dog. They depend on you. So you're there in your circle. You're responsible for them. Anything you own is in your circle. And so if you have 2 cats and you decide to get a 3rd cat, well, you're making a decision to put that inside your hula hoop. Should you do that or not? Do you have time for that? Can you really be responsible in the fullest extent of what that means? St. Paul said, I keep within the limitations of my sphere. Do you have limitations? Does something else have to go because you put this thing in your circle? These are all the questions that we're looking at when we decide, what am I personally responsible for? I know what's in my circle. Sometimes people try to get in my circle, and they'll push their way in. A part of the whole thing of boundaries is say, wait a minute, you don't belong there. I only have X amount of time. I have no time for this. Is God in your circle? Well, we're not responsible for God, but He's like a friend. And for me, He's in my circle in the place of, I'm responsible to keep that friendship up. If I want to be close to God, then I'm choosing that to be in my circle, taking time to be with Him, to sit with Him, just to rest with Him. That whole book that I wrote of entering into the secret place within, finding that, experiencing that. Really, a book really worth getting if God's in your circle, because you want to have intimacy with God. And so you make that a part of your circle. It's definitely in my circle because it gives me joy. Do you have joy? Yeah, I need joy. Can't live without it. And God gives me joy. So that's an important part of my inside of my hula hoop. And I want to be guided by Him, and I want to honor Him, so I let Him in. Again, your church, civic organization, volunteer. How many hours are you willing to give? That's your responsibility. I'll choose to be available for 2 hours a week, not 18 hours a week. No, I can't go on that field trip. I can't do this. I only have 2 hours. 2 hours a day, depending on your, lifestyle. Whoever retired, you might have more time, but you're the one that decides what's going to be in my circle. It takes some time to do this. Sit down and get a piece of paper and write down, what do I want in my circle? Who is in my circle now I don't want there? Your gifts are in your circle, your talents. But again, loving yourself. You are in the circle. You have to take care of yourself. You're responsible, first of all, to yourself. And that's the priority. You're not going to be able to take care of anything else in that circle if you're not taking care of yourself. Huge. Huge. Are you selfish? No. You're loving yourself. Yeah, get that thought out of your head. It's just from the devil. He just wants to push you down. No, you're not being selfish. You're loving yourself, honoring yourself, respecting yourself. And you know who's the greatest cheerleader for that? Your Father God. Take care of yourself. I need you to be healthy. It goes with food and everything. Yeah, I'm talking to myself. My wife keeps saying, why do you pile so much food on? Yeah. So we all have to learn in this area, right? So outside of your circle are all the world's problems. Most of your spouse outside of your circle. The future is outside of your circle. You can't be responsible. Partly you get life insurance. Yeah, you're making decisions, but all of that is just in regards to love and taking care of, preparing, planning, right? But you can't control the future. So you're really not responsible for it. It's just what happens, right? Things happen. You have a financial setback, a health setback, spouse can, all kinds of things can happen. They just happen. Good and bad. Your teenagers can make decisions that are absolutely terrible. But you're letting them go. They're outside your circle. You want them to own their own decisions. Don't rescue them. They're outside your circle. You're getting the point here. Your neighbors, they're outside your circle. Part of you takes some responsibility. Make the neighborhood look good. Maybe help out a particular neighbor. Maybe you're just going to do this once or twice, or maybe it'll become a regular thing. We did a lot of things for an elderly neighbor of ours. But it was also fun. We enjoyed her. But she needed things. She needed help. We wave at each other through the windows as we faced each other. It was relational. We were loving her and she needed us. We chose that, though, to put that person in our circle. But there's all kinds of people out there that have needs. I mean, lots. Who should be in your circle? You need to choose carefully what's going to be in your circle. And then once that is established, you know what's in your circle, then you make it clear to anything else that comes and presents itself to say, I will have to think about that. Let me get back to you. Process it first. Do you want that in your circle? Do you have time? Does something else have to go because of it? I didn't have a lot of this right. Spent huge amounts of time away from home and occupied with other needs. Even my work, self-employed, great, loved it, enjoyable. But it was 60 hours a week. Less time for my children, my wife. So again, what sacrifices have to be made? And also, probably a pretty important question is, does God want you to do it? Does God want you to put that in your circle. You know, we talk about doing the will of God, and sometimes people cringe at that. Well, I'm in charge. Well, yeah, but I've lacked wisdom at times, made some bad decisions, and I went under because of it, or I lost a lot of money because of it. The thing is that God is for you. And when we talk about His will, it's for our happiness. It's for a future full of hope. It's for us to enjoy life. And so His guidance, His will, is about something that's very, very good for us. So don't set that aside, because it's not the harsh idea that you think. He lets you have free will. That's His greatest gift to you. You can always say no to Him, believe it or not. And I've said no to Him too many times, to my peril. Yeah, I'm human too. On my website, healingyourhearts.org, there's two full-length talks, hour each, on all the nitty-gritty of establishing these boundaries and how to enforce them, especially with toxic people. The first talk was on that. How do you enforce your boundaries with toxic people? What can be done? How do you do that? So I can only give you a snapshot here of why boundaries, and that they're important and you need them, some basic things about them. But, you know, if you're getting this, do this for you. Get some more instruction on this. Get a plan. And those two talks give you some real keys and ways to do all of this. It's probably the most important teaching that I've ever given over the years, is creating and establishing and enforcing boundaries. Most important teaching for me as well. But I really encourage you, there's just two talks, I don't know, $10 or $15 for two of them, and that well worth the money. And you can create a new life for yourself, one that you love to live. Do you love to live your life? I'm just a dad talking, just giving you some encouraging advice. So go to my website and get that, healingyourhearts.org. Subscribe to this channel. I'm only going to offer you good stuff because I'm concerned about your heart. That's why it's called Heart Sense. Your heart suffers when you don't have boundaries. Gets crushed, worn out, tired, exhausted, sadly burnt out. It's lost its will to live. You don't want to get there. So I invite you to subscribe to this channel and continue to getting these videos. Tell others about them. Share them with other people. You know, someone who needs this, send it to them. God bless you. God loves you. So do I. Take care.